Welcome everyone to another episode of The Brown Couch with me, Vanita. I am so excited about this session today because the gentleman I'm about to talk to is just someone who's touched my heart, who's just so awesome. And I just want to say welcome to another episode of The Brown Couch. Welcome.
Thank you for that.
I like to start every episode with the person telling me how they met me, but most importantly with you, where did we meet?
We met at Marion Correctional Institution. And maybe, what was it,
11, 12?
Somewhere around there, yeah. I was the clerk for the Marion Reintegration Unit for Miss Marty Giroux, unit manager. And she brought you and Mr. Wesley Pullian in to talk about a program. And she brought you to me to hear about the program, since I used to put a lot of the programs together and stuff. So it was my responsibility to show you guys around the reintegration center and tell you about it. And we ended up sitting there for about 3 hours, I believe. It was about 3 hours. It was a long time because I was like, I'm not too young and my back was hurting.
At that time, when I met you in 2011, 12, there was no outdate for you.
No.
And you had served, how many years by then?
Let me see. It was more like 22 years in.
22 years in?
Yeah.
Wow. And there was no outdate at that time? Because when I met you, I believe it was,
Yeah.
You were looking at life, I believe, when I met you.
Yes.
So after we attended the graduation and Wesley and I left, we were so impressed with you. We were just, your personality, your ambiance, you were just so, it's like, are we in a prison here? You were just so awesome. So some time went by and we forgot your last name and we never reached back out to you, and I'm sorry for that.
That's okay.
But God has a way. So let's fast forward to 2019.
2019.
2019.
Great, wonderful year. It's a year to be marked in history. 2019, I'm getting ready for the parole board. This is my 5th hearing.
Wow.
I've been turned down before, and they always told me, you're doing great, keep doing what you're doing. We're impressed with what you're doing. It looks wonderful. Do 3 more years and come back and see us. So 2019 is here. Of course, I'm nervous about going to the parole board, but I'm kind of on the verge of saying, forget it, I don't even want to go anymore. They ain't gonna never let me go home. But just in case, I believe in dotting my I's and crossing my T's. So I wanted to prepare myself to be released. So I reached out, to different programs and stuff in the community, in the Columbus area, about reentry. During that time, I ran into an old friend of mine from when I went through Kairos back in the 90s, named Bob Taverner. And he told me about the ARCH program, which I had never heard about before. And he said, oh man, yeah, the ARCH program is good. Matter of fact, he was in the institution, in the reintegration center, for a program called Getting It Right. That he's a part of. He's one of the facilitators. So he told me about the ARCH program. And I said, well, I'm gonna write them a letter and see, what they have to offer for people coming home. So I sat down and I wrote a letter, real nice letter. I'm a professional letter writer. I wrote a real nice letter, requesting information about what programs are available and how much assistance is available for people being released from prison.
Yes.
And I needed that specifically because 31 years.
Right.
That's a whole lifetime. So I sent this letter off, and I went on back to my regular routine. I'm working a nice job in prison and whatnot, and doing my everyday thing, and still preparing myself to go home. Still teaching a couple of programs. I wrote like maybe 2 programs before I left, which is another thing that I do, professional program writer. So I got a letter back from the arts program.
Yes, you did.
And I'm looking at it
Yes,
from the
you
arts
did.
program. Okay, so let me see what they're talking about. I opened it up and I read it, and it said, "Thank you for your letter," and listed all of the things that the arts program offers and everything. And I was smiling because you gonna let this.
Yeah, yes, I'm smiling too.
So I'm going down the letter and stuff, and I get to like the bottom of it, and the letter is ending actually, but it's more below it. It says, "Now that all of that is out the way, I would like to reintroduce myself to you. I'm Vanita Nevis. We met years ago. Me and Wesley was wondering what happened to you, if you was getting out, and I was floored when I got your letter." And I was like, wow.
Wait a minute. When I got the letter, I was like, "What? Wesley? What? Wesley?"
For me,
You touched us. I mean, you really you leave a mark on people that meet you.
that's why my name is Mark.
Yes, you leave a mark. You do leave a mark. When I received his letter, I also received a call from Bob Tavener saying that there's a gentleman named Mark Merriweather. I said, "I have his letter here with me." And Bob said, "Vanita, Mark came running down the corridor." I know her.
I was so touched by the letter, and I'll tell you why. I'm a spiritual person, and there's nothing in life that doesn't happen for a reason. Whether it's good or bad, it's all in the grand design. For me to meet Vanita and Wesley the way that I did, and the vibe was so positive. If you could have been there, we should have been sitting.
We were like old friends.
We were sitting at a table, at a wooden table, uncomfortable table, talking for 3 hours. We never really did a tour of the facility. We talked so much. It was crazy. It was wild. And the feeling of seeing the culmination of this grand design on small levels is impactful for spiritual people. To realize that what happened years ago impacted my life years later. For you to come back full circle, and Wesley to come back full circle and be there and even remember me, a face in the crowd.
No, you were not a face in the crowd.
I mean, but you know, when
you were not a face in the crowd.
When you think, I know you've met thousands of people when.
But I remembered you.
I mean, but who wouldn't remember me?
See, there you go. I mean, there are guys who will come, "Miss Vanita, do you remember me?" And I'm like, "No, I made a lot."
Hey, puppy. See, even he remembers me. But it
was awesome. It was like one of the best things that I heard in 2019. And then to be able to go pick you up and sit down. But it was such a great reunion. It was such a great reunion. And I was, welcome home. That's all I could keep saying to you is welcome home, welcome home, welcome home. And you are now my little brother.
Yes.
Welcome home.
My sis/agent / boy, what are you doing? This is her.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your incarceration.
Okay.
And one of the things that you shared with me when you're incarceration, and you said probably one of the saddest times, but one of the happiest times for you was your son.
My son.
When you heard your son was going to be incarcerated and he was going to wind up in the same prison as you. Let's talk a little bit about that. How was that?
My heart.
Because first of all, let's go back. He was born when you first got incarcerated, am I right?
While I was in the county jail. My trial ended, well, my sentencing was March 3rd of 1989. He was born March 1st of 1989. They rolled me from the county prison and from the county jail and sent me to...
Do I need tissues?
No, that'll be all right. Sent me to a place called CRC, March 15th of 1989. And that's way down here by Columbus. And
right.
He's from Cleveland. I got to hold him a couple times in the county, and oh man, it was. I was a youngster then, so the impact of it wasn't as much as when I got older, but I still understood that something was taken away from me.
Yes.
And of course, my father wasn't a big part of my life. Maybe 5 times that I can really remember interacting with my father in my life. And I got to update you on that too. A lot of that's changed.
So let's fast forward. How many years later?
Oh man, it was like maybe.
But before we get to that, so were there visits? during the course of
yes,
years?
yes. I saw him growing up in the visiting room, and I mean, he was such a bad kid. And so he used to run around, and I'm lying. He was a great kid. He was a great kid. From the time he was a baby, I remember that when I would come in the visiting room, when he heard my voice, he would cry.
Oh.
But he would only cry until I grabbed him. And then he would sit there and grab my finger and go to sleep.
Oh.
And it was so wonderful. I mean, just the feeling of having a son. But then, of course, came the pain of when you had to leave the visiting room. Mm-hmm. And it's one particular time that stands out in my mind when Marky he could barely walk, but he was feisty. And I was a cadre in Lorraine Correctional Institution. And I mean, we was having fun. I was smacking him around, just holding him by his feet, and, just what fathers do with children. We was having fun. And it was time to go. And Marky had to be about knee-high to a grasshopper. And he grabbed my hand and he started like pulling me towards the front door.
To go with him.
Talking about, you come to my house, you come to my house. And I think that was one of the most impactful moments of the whole situation for me. All the way up until it had to be 2007, 2009. I don't know, my years, they don't really register like that.
Right.
Because of the incarceration.
Exactly.
So a lot of the years run together.
They just mesh together.
Yeah.
It's just year after year after year. Until the time you were told you were going to get out.
When they told me I was leaving, it was 12:30 in the afternoon, 12:30 and 52 seconds.
Wow.
And no, I added the seconds, but it was 12:30. I remember that. I'll never forget that. So I was on the phone, and a matter of fact, I think I was talking to his mom. And his mom said, he in the county jail. I said, oh my God, what did he do? And they told me about a gun and an attempted robbery and stuff. I was like, what? So I reached out to some people that I know who got on the computer and, tracked down this information in the county. And I was like, wow, he ain't coming to prison. Nah, he'll be home. Don't even worry about it, he'll be home. Then I found out he was coming to prison. And I said, oh my God. Now I feel like the people who I saw who father and son or brother and brother or cousins and stuff were in prison together. And I'm like, you want more for your children. At that time.
Did you blame yourself for anything?
Oh, absolutely.
Did you?
Absolutely. I wasn't there. And the only thing that I left out there for him to hear about from people out there was all negative. It was like, I'm seeing him hearing about me and like, yeah, my father was, so I might as well do this too. And it just, it brought down a dark cloud.
It did.
Yeah. And if you know me, I'm not a dark cloud person.
Exactly. And that's what I saw when I first met you. Knowing you were doing life, I did not see a dark cloud over you at all. At all. The same person that I met in there is the same person you are out here.
The blessing of hope and faith.
Amen.
That's what it is.
So what I want to do right now is just let's talk a little bit about Mark Jr. and his entrance into the prison.
Oh my goodness.
But before we do that, I have a surprise for everyone. I would like to introduce Mark Jr., and he's going to sit in a session with us. Mark? So we're going to welcome Mark Jr. here today. I'm so glad to meet you.
Thanks for
Looking
having
just like your dad, just like your dad. So before you joined us, we were talking about when you became incarcerated and now you're in prison with your father.
Not
me.
yet.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, yeah,
Not
not
yet.
yet. I didn't go straight.
Oh, you didn't go straight there? Okay.
When he was first incarcerated,
That was Minifield, the gentleman you was talking about?
Yes.
So when you first got incarcerated, you met the gentleman your father was fondly talking about
Yes.
earlier. Okay.
Yes, it was my first time meeting him. It was the craziest thing. I had, just got on the yard in Richland Correctional. And I was in intake, and over the speaker, they called my number, my name, and said, report to the kitchen for work. I was confused. I haven't been class yet. You know what I'm saying? I ain't talked to nobody, nothing. I'm fresh. I get in there, all the COs pointing. Go this way. Go that way. I get back there, the biggest, blackest guy I ever seen. He was like, how you doing? I'm your uncle. I said, okay. Okay. Met him on the yard. He gave me a bag of hygiene, a bag of snacks. Said, I'm your uncle. I'm here to take care of you. Need anything, let me know. And from that on, that was my uncle.
That was your uncle.
That was my uncle.
what happened was I found out ahead of time that he was going to Richland. So I sent word through the NCIC is what we call it, but it's like a network, you know, for people who know each other in prison, to Minifield. And Minifield grabbed the boy up and looked after the boy. But it was a wonderful thing, and I have got to give credit to them for this. I've been in prison for a while,
Right.
so I knew a lot of people. So his unit manager in Richland and my unit manager in Marion would call each other and let us talk on the telephone. Yeah, without, you know, any lead, they would lead office and just go ahead and talk, and we would just talk. So our connection never really suffered a severing at that time. And also, our unit managers got together to have him sent where I was in North Central.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So how far in before you now are in Marion?
A year and a half.
Yeah.
I got sentenced to 3 years. Yep. Halfway through, I went down there with him.
What was it like coming down there?
I didn't know what to expect for real. I knew I wasn't gonna worry too much. You know, my father, he's been here for a minute. He know everybody. I'm not gonna worry too much. It was more so of me that I was worried about bringing issues to you. You get what I'm saying? Like, you're set into your bid and this, that, and the third, and I'm fresh, you know what I mean? New face. People might try me, and then that's gonna pull you into something. So that was my biggest concern. How am I gonna navigate and keep you out of trouble? That was my
Look at
biggest
him
concern.
concerned about his father.
Ain't that
Look at
something?
that. Look at y'all.
What happened?
And
when
then you know
got
what? And that was the same concern you had, wasn't
Oh,
it?
absolutely.
With him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And I made sure before he even got to the institution that everybody knew my son is going to be walking this compound. Don't make me. You know, don't do that. That's my child. So he didn't have problems. He didn't have problems.
So for the remainder of your time there, you guys were in the same bunk together.
We were in the same bunk.
Yes.
So
And-
Mark,
oh my
tell me about the last day. You're leaving.
last day.
You're going home. And you're not that little boy grabbing his dad's hand and saying, come to mommy's house with me.
Yeah, the last day, it was hard because I got to know him. You know what I'm saying? All I knew was visiting room visits and phone calls. I didn't know him as a person. You know, you really don't know nobody unless you live with them.
Exactly.
And as us living together, we got to know each other, build off each other. You know what I'm saying? He kept me on my toes, kept me working out, kept my mind sharp. Come on, get up, boy. You know, just different stuff. You know, it was an eye opener. And the crazy part is, our story is lightweight the same but different. I didn't have as much time, but I went to jail at 19, newborn son. You know, it was an eye opener for both of us. Like, this is a cycle we have to break. He went to prison at 19, I went to prison at 19. He had a newborn son, I have a newborn son. It was like, something got to give, you know?
Did you feel like history was repeating itself and you didn't want that for your grandson and your son?
Yes, I did not want that for
But he didn't want that for you either, but, you know, circumstances.
Right.
Well, you know,
Yeah, but
you could not want your son to follow in those footsteps, but when you see it so similar, it says to you, especially when you're when I'm into reentry, it shows how a cycle is created and how it perpetuates, and it can perpetuate over generations. And once it gets started, it's hard to break. That's what we're doing now. That's why he moved to Columbus with me. That's why my grandson is at my house right now doing his schoolwork. Because we're not gonna have this cycle. If I have to go visit my grandson in prison, I will. I'll be there for him 150,000, 222%. But that's what I'm trying to avoid. He doesn't have to go to prison. I made the mistakes in my life. He made the mistakes in his life so that he doesn't have to. Or so that Mason, my other grandson, his other child, doesn't have to. We did that. We're not doing that anymore. Now we're building a legacy. We're building something for their future.
Right.
So.
That's why my son, I got friends that try to drag me into stuff, but me as a person, I want my son to see me getting a paycheck. You know what I'm saying? I want my son to see me. I want him to see it's other stuff out there than what he sees in rap videos and street movies and in the neighborhood. You know what I mean? There's more out there. See the world. See, you could go to Dubai and own buildings in Dubai if you want to. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of this, and this.
There's no limit on.
Because you can have the smarts, but if you don't have the courage to pursue what your brain is telling you, you could get pulled into anything.
Oh my God, I sound like I sound like him. You have left a great legacy on him because as he's talking, I hear you talking.
Good.
So you did leave a great impact. No matter what you feel, you've left a great impact. If just his conversation.
But it's not done yet.
No, it's not done, but you've left a great impact and he's passing it on to his children.
Yeah. I made sure that, and I hope this works, is part of my mission. You know how fast I took off?
Yes.
When I got home.
Yes. I thought it was too fast, but who am I? I'm just your big sister.
Yeah, but now have I been successful?
Yes, you have. Yes,
And I've thrived.
Yes, you have.
I give and part of that is because I'm a driven, focused individual.
You are what we call, and I have a gift for you. You are what we call, I am reentry. You are definitely, I am reentry, Mark,
Yes.
and that's a gift for you.
Yes.
You're successful in what people want to see when they talk about reentry, and that's you as well. So you can share the cup. Make sure he lets you drink out of it as well.
I'm gonna drink out of it today when we get to our...
So, Mark, talk about that last day. Mark Jr. is leaving. He's going home, and you have to stay.
It was kind of a double-edged sword. I was so happy to see him leaving that environment because no matter how comfortable I was, I knew what it took to get comfortable. And I know what can happen at the drop of a hat in that situation. So I was so happy to see him leave, and yes, he going home. He finna make a difference with his life. He gonna be with his son. But at the same time, I'm losing him again. he's being taken away from me. I was hurt, but filled with joy while he was with me. He the light of my life. He's my son. I look at him and I'm proud of him. I'm proud of the boy. I really am. He's a handsome young man. He's smart.
He looks just like you. Of course he's a handsome young man.
That's why. Well, he is.
He looks just like his father.
He is an impressive young man. And I'm so proud of you, boy. I'm so proud of you. I really am. And
you proud of your dad?
Yeah, I was gonna let him finish. I'm about to say, he's my motivation. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's been through more than me, all that, you know. And I'm not gonna fake. Sometimes when it's hard for somebody with a background in today's society, you know, like when I first came home in 2011, I tried to go to all the programs they had in Cleveland for felons. And one program in particular let me get all the way through the program and then told me, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do for you. Like, it's hard. So sometimes, you know, I let that frustration get to me and I just say, forget it. I'll try somewhere else. And then it builds up and then it goes to, well, I went 1 week without a job to now it's 2 months I need to find a job, you know, and then watching him though, it's like motivation. Like, if he can do it, why can't I?
It's been almost 2 years.
I just want to thank the both of you for sitting down with me. I appreciate you telling your story. I feel that the people who will hear this will be inspired, for those who have family members that are presently incarcerated or family members or someone they love is coming out soon, that there is hope. As long as you have the phases and you stick to those phases.
And you stick to your faith.
And you stick to your faith and just stay around positive people, that you could be like Mark Sr. and Mark Jr. Thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
I would say that all of those people that's going to hear this, that are in that situation, coming out of prison, don't allow your time in prison or your circumstances or environment to define who you are. You are in control of that. God gave you the ability to make choices. So nothing around you should be able to make a choice for you. You have the ability to make that choice. Don't let it define you. Find a goal, focus on it. Think out in your mind how to reach that goal and go do it. Go get it out the mud. Do what the young kids say now. Stand 10 toes down and get at it. Because ain't nobody gonna give you nothing.
Thank you, my brother.
You are so welcome.
And now my son.